Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing things a little bit differently. Instead of looking at a whole year or a decade, we're going to zoom in on just one single day. We're talking about January 27th, 2026, a day that tells us a ton about the powerful forces shaping modern India.
So, you have to ask yourself, what on earth could a massive nationwide strike, a billionaire in a high-stakes court battle, and a game-changing international trade deal possibly have in common? I know, right? They sound like they have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
But the link is actually pretty simple. They all crash together on the very same day, giving us this perfect snapshot of the pressures, the progress, and the incredible potential of India's economy. So let's break it down.
All right, let's kick things off with a story that hit millions of people right as their day began on January 27th. We're talking about a massive, organized disruption.
Get this, 800,000. That's how many bank employees from public sector banks, private banks, even foreign banks, walked off the job. And this wasn't just some small protest. This was a full-blown, nationwide strike.
So, what was the big deal? What could possibly get nearly 1 million people to walk out all at once and bring the country's banking system to a halt?
Well, it all boils down to one major demand: a 5-day work week. Right now, banks close on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays. The unions want all Saturdays off. And here's the kicker: this proposal has just been sitting with the government gathering dust for 2 whole years. And you know this demand didn't just pop up out of thin air. The unions are quick to point out that a 5-day week is already the norm for India's central bank and a bunch of other big financial institutions. They've even offered a pretty reasonable compromise. They'll work 40 minutes longer each day to make up the time.
Okay, so while the banks were quiet, the newsrooms were absolutely electric. At the very same time as the strike, 2 other massive stories were breaking that had nothing to do with labor unions. And here's the first one. After nearly 20 years of back-and-forth negotiations, India and the European Union finally announced a massive free trade agreement. The EU chief literally called it the mother of all deals, and India's prime minister agreed.
It's honestly hard to overstate just how huge this is. We're talking about a combined market of over 1.9 billion people, and together, India and the EU make up a staggering 25% of the entire world's GDP. This is a real game changer.
But wait, there's more. The EU deal wasn't the only major corporate drama of the day. There was also a sudden, unexpected twist in a legal battle that's been casting a shadow over one of India's biggest conglomerates for over a year.
So here's the backstory. It's been a real standoff. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, filed fraud charges against Gautam Adani way back in late 2024. But for 14 months, they couldn't even serve him the papers because India's Ministry of Law kept blocking the request. It created this huge legal and diplomatic mess.
So, what changed on this day? A new filing showed up in a New York court. Adani's top-tier American law firm announced they are now talking directly with the SEC to figure out a way forward. For the markets, this was a huge deal, the first real sign that this whole saga might finally get resolved.
Okay, let's just take a breath. A nationwide strike, a historic trade deal, a major legal breakthrough, all at once. You've got to be wondering, with all this chaos, how is the actual economy holding up?
Well, to get a read on that, we can look at a key number called the PMI. Think of it like taking the pulse of the economy. It surveys businesses to see if they're growing or shrinking. The only thing you need to remember is this: a number over 50 means the economy is expanding. Simple as that.
And guess what? The PMI numbers that came out on this very day were strong, really strong. The index jumped up to 59.5. This means that private sector businesses weren't just growing, they were actually growing faster, all thanks to strong demand from customers at home and around the world.
All right, let's put all these pieces together now. You've got the strike, the incredible EU deal, the good news on the Adani case, and this strong economic data. So how on earth did the stock market make sense of all this conflicting information? After a pretty wild day of trading, the main Sensex index actually closed up over 300 points. But if you dig a little deeper, the market was reacting in a really smart, nuanced way. Adani Ports stock shot up on the positive legal news, Axis Bank jumped because of great earnings, but then you look at auto companies and their stocks fell because investors were worried about more competition from Europe because of that new trade deal.
So, everything that happened on this one day, from the labor demands at home to the big global deals, it all sets the stage perfectly for India's next huge economic moment, which was right around the corner.
And you can't make this stuff up.
On this very same day, January 27th, the Finance Ministry held its traditional Hall West ceremony. It's this fantastic tradition that kicks off the final lockdown before they announce the national budget, with key officials basically going into quarantine to keep all the details a secret until the big reveal on February 1st.
So when you step back and look at this one single extraordinary day, what does it all tell us? It shows an economy in the middle of a massive transition. It's trying to balance the demands of its own workforce while also securing its place on the global stage and navigating these really tricky corporate challenges. And through it all, the underlying economy is showing some remarkable strength.
And that's our explainer for today.
Hey, if you found this interesting, do us a huge favor and please share it with someone you think would also get a kick out of it.
We would love to hear from you. What do you think this one day really says about where India's economy is headed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.